If you could travel back more than 500 million years, you wouldn't recognize the world. But you would recognize something else. The moment life began to change forever. Before this moment, life on Earth was simple. For billions of years, most living things were small, soft, and hidden from view. Then, something changed. In a relatively short period of time, life began to grow more complex. Bodies became larger, structures more defined. Animals with entirely new body plans appeared, many unlike anything that would ever exist again. Creatures like Opabinia, with 5 eyes and a claw on the end of a flexible arm, or Hallucigenia, a creature so strange, scientists once struggled to tell which side was up. The ocean floor was no longer quiet. It was alive, with movement, interaction, and change. Animals began to interact in new ways, feeding, moving, responding to one another. This period is known as the Cambrian Explosion, a time when life rapidly diversified into complex forms. For the first time, life wasn't just surviving, it was experimenting. And in that moment of endless possibility, everything began to change. What started as something new quickly became something uncontrollable. Life didn't grow slowly. It spread. The seafloor became crowded, filled with creatures crawling, burrowing, and feeding side by side. Bodies took on countless forms: spines, shells, segments, soft limbs, structures that had never existed before. Life didn't just stay on the ground, it moved in every direction. Some animals began to swim with purpose, like Opabinia, drifting through the water with unfamiliar control. Nothing followed a familiar pattern, because nothing like this had existed before. Every surface was occupied, every space filled. With so many forms competing for space and resources, change began to accelerate. But not every design would last. For a brief moment in Earth's history, life tried everything. And then, something changed the rules. For the first time, life didn't just exist in the ocean, it hunted. As life became more complex, some animals began feeding on others. Predators appeared, built for movement, awareness, and control. Vision improved, and for the first time, animals could truly see one another. Some predators chased their prey, others waited, and struck from below. Prey began to change, developing armor, spines, and new ways to survive. Every movement carried risk, every surface could hide danger. As predators improved, so did everything else. This was the beginning of an evolutionary arms race, a cycle of adaptation that would never truly stop. The ocean was no longer just alive, it was dangerous. And from that danger, something unexpected began to emerge. Chaos doesn't last forever. Eventually, something begins to take shape. After millions of years of rapid change, the oceans began to stabilize. Many of the strangest body plans disappeared, while a smaller number of successful forms remained. Survival began to favor efficiency, movement, protection, and adaptability. The ocean was no longer random, it was organized. Early communities began to form, including the first reef-building ecosystems. Patterns we recognize today, predator and prey, habitat and territory, began to take hold. This shift marked the end of the Cambrian Explosion and the beginning of a more stable world. Life now moved into the Ordovician Period, where these foundations would continue to grow. What began as endless experimentation had become a working system. Many experiments didn't survive, but the ones that did shaped everything that followed. And some of those changes never went away. More than 500 million years ago, a strange and unfamiliar world took shape, and somehow it never really went away. By the end of the Cambrian, the oceans were no longer experimental. The creatures that remained carried forward the designs that worked. Among them were small, simple animals that would shape the future. Inside its body was a simple structure, a flexible rod, the notochord, an early form of a backbone. This one feature would be carried forward again and again. From these early beginnings came the foundation for countless forms of life. The Cambrian Explosion didn't just create strange creatures, it built the systems that still exist today. In that distant ocean, life learned how to move, how to survive, and how to become something more. And in ways we rarely think about, it's still becoming. The story didn't end here, it just began. For more about what life was like in the early oceans, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. This has been For What It's Worth.